Welcome back to the Vintage Sewing Machine Garage, everybody. Glad you're joining me here. This is a video I'm going to make, sort of a quick tip for you guys. I am currently working on a Singer 15-30. It is one of the early 15 class Singer sewing machines, and it was made in 1905 in Montreal, Canada. And this is a really old Ironsides, and you can see I'll make another video later when I'm ready to debut this. This is a treadle machine, and it's got some really worn decals here, but it's just a great time capsule, and I actually don't mind machines like this. They're such wonderful workers, and some people love machines that are, the aesthetics are perfect and the paint is perfect, and I totally get that, especially if you're a collector. I understand, but I love preserving machines that work, and seeing all of the wear here is just simply part of its history for me. But the reason I'm making the video today is to show you guys something. If you have an older machine, you can look at this and say, well, gosh, there's a Singer 15. It looks like one. It's a treadle, and it's got the tension dial on the side. This overall layout goes way back for Singer. But what might surprise you, if you're used to some of the later Singer 15s, and remember, these were built, the 15s were built for many decades, I don't know, 60, 70 years or something. I'll have to go back and double check the exact years. But they built these for a long time. And one of the great things about Singers is they typically, when they had something that worked, they left it alone. But there are exceptions to that. And I wanted to show you guys today just a quick tip to talk about the shuttle, the hook, the race, and the bobbin case, and how you would go about taking these apart and overhauling them. So I'm going to tilt the machine back, and if you look here, what you will see is you'll see the shuttle, right? And here's the drive shaft. When I turn the hand wheel, it'll move, right? And that's not surprising. That doesn't look unusual. What is different than some of the later Singer 15s is how this attaches. So I'm going to kind of show that to you all. See if I can get a little bit of a different angle here for you. So when I got this, when I was looking at it to take it apart, what I saw was this giant piece, this big heavy, this is essentially the race of the machine, and it's like a little racetrack, this one way I remember what to call it, and it has a rim. Now normally, or I say normally, later designs would show where this piece wasn't quite this thick and heavy, but there are little flippers that you turn to very quickly and efficiently get this to release. And then of course you would take your both your hook, which you see here, the hook, and the bobbin case out. In fact, you can take the bobbin case out without undoing any of this, but then to get the hook out, if you want to clean behind here, which you should do, those later 15s that many of you might have, you could actually, once you get this piece to come off with just being released with these very quick release, I call them flippers, then you can get to the hook. But this design is different, and this represents one of the running changes that Singer would have made over the years. So I'm going to be we'll go this in reverse, and I'll kind of show you how she goes back together. And it's different than what you might expect. For example, the hook is not loaded in the front, but you actually load it from the back. Okay, so I have put a drop of oil here on the running edge of my hook here, and while I had this out, I was going in with alcohol and then just a little bit of oil and coming in here and cleaning this out. Now these old machines were so well designed, they will run sometimes in spite of old oil and lint, but the machines really need to be maintained to really shine. They are such amazing devices, but they were designed for maintenance. This is not something you have to do with every project, but it's something you want to know how to do, and it's not hard if you know the order in which you take these pieces off. So let's see, right here you will see these are the screws that held this on. So what we're going to do is I'm going to show you, I disassembled it, cleaned it, now I'm putting it back together. I thought, hey, let's do a video. So now that I know that the race is clean, I've also cleaned the sliding edge of my hook here. Now, many of you will go in and you'll try to put it in like this because that's how you're used to looking at the hook, right? And of course you know that your bobbin case is going to attach to the little shaft here. But of course you don't want to do it this way because if you do, your hook will be in backwards. So sorry guys if this seems obvious, but it's only obvious after you've done it the wrong way a few times, and don't feel bad if you did. So I'm putting this in, putting the hook in, right? And you can tell I've got the race nice and clean. It's nice and smooth, beautifully, you know, the quality of the parts is amazing after all these years. And now you see it, how you're going to see it from the front when we go later on to put in the bobbin case. Okay, so we've got the hook that goes in. The next thing that goes in is this piece. Now this trim, I call it a trim ring, it's not a trim ring, has two sides. This is the totally flat side, right? And there's two little pins, right? You can see one here and one on the other side, and there's two holes. So that's how you line this up. Be sure that when you put this on, you don't want to put it, let me kind of show this piece a little bit better. This side is completely flat. This side, you'll see kind of a bevel as you go toward the end, okay? Maybe that helps. I don't know if that's going to help show it in this light, but you can see the bevel. You want the bevel side up, right? So you want, it's going to go on like this. It looks like almost like a little crest of a wreath. And you're going to line up these little holes that you see here. If I can move my thumb out of the way for you. And they're going to line up here. Be sure that the flat side, the side that has no bevel appearance, that's completely flat, is going to be down. So you will be seeing the beveled edges up top here. Now, that is, I'm just holding that on. It's got the little pins, and you know my hook is nice and ready to spin. But now I'm going to take this piece. This is a lower piece, and again, I don't know the official Singer name for this, but I'm basically wanting to show you the order that these things go on. Now, this is a really large screw, or bolt, maybe we'll call it. And this piece goes on. You'll notice it's shaped like this, okay? And what you're going to do is and it's kind of got a curve to it. You want the curve to be curving upwards and like this. And basically, it just sits, and by the way, it does not, some of you may see this and think, oh, okay, this little lip, this piece here that's right by my thumb, it should probably go around the edge, and that's not the case. What you want to do is place it, just simply line up the hole of this with the hole in the, just make sure I keep everything together here. The hole here in this piece, you want to line up with this, okay? And it doesn't, it seems odd at first, but trust me, that is how it goes on. And if you push on your hook, you'll dislodge everything, but don't worry. Now, I put a drop of oil. This thing had probably not been undone in 50 years. Okay, I had to use penetrant, little 3-in-1 to get it loose, and then I used some more sewing machine oil, and it came apart, right? So I'm going to put this back in to the hole, just get it started. So I say, it can feel a little awkward sometimes when you're working with these parts, even more so when you're doing it with a camera in front of, I've got the camera right in front of me and I'm kind of sort of hunched over behind it so you guys can see what I'm doing. Hopefully you can, if I'll hold it correctly. Now, this bolt is long for a reason, and this, as you get the bolt going, you just want to make sure that this piece stays in alignment, right? So it's gonna look something like it wants to wiggle, and that's okay. Just be patient. Now, as I I'm snugging this bolt down, okay, and this is still, you know, it's moving just a little bit, and then we're going to tighten it. Got my screwdriver tip set here, and for those of you who are wondering when you're tightening, most of the time when you tighten any of these bolts, you don't need to torque it down to a point that's just, you know, you don't want to overly tighten it. So I'm basically going to keep turning it until it's snug. If I can do that, hold it in front of the camera and not drop it. There we go. So now it's getting more snug, and as soon as it gets to the point where it wants to stop, it's giving me some resistance here, so I'm turning it and there we go. And it's not going anywhere. And it may look funny, but that's actually the back of your shuttle and race. Now those of you who have, now notice I'm turning, I want to make sure I've got everything lined up because my hook needs to turn. Now, just as you may recall from your other more modern quote unquote Singer 15s, of course this is my bobbin case, right? And I've cleaned and oiled that as I've shown in some other videos before. And now I'm just going to slide it right on here. And of course, don't forget that the bobbin case finger, that little notch at the top, needs to line up with the notch in the race cover here. Now, I have my bobbin case, my hook. Now, am I missing anything else? Let's see. Right now, I'm going to now attach, and by the way, obviously you can put this in after this is in. In fact, I'll take it back out just so you don't have to load it in that order. But I'm just this is kind of a nice way. It's hard to show this piece sometimes on a camera, but you can see the notch. And if you're ever doubting whether your bobbin case is the right one, look at the angle and see how it lines up with that notch. If it doesn't, chances are you've got a 15 class bobbin, but it might go to a Kenmore or a Japanese clone or something. Anyway, so we've got our little, for lack of a better word, hook and race module. I don't think Singer called it a module, but anyway, I've assembled this. Now I'm going to take, and as I like to do with things that have been, let's turn this down a little bit. You guys can hopefully see what I'm doing here. I've got the two bolts that are going to hold this to the machine, and I'm just going to put one drop of oil. I like to think of this as an ounce per mention, you know, and the threads of the bolts will get oil and hopefully be easier the next time this needs to be taken out. Now, I'm going to tape this. Let's get our angle moved up a little bit better. See if that helps you guys see what I'm doing. Now, I've got this piece. I'm going to line it up with the machine. And what I'll do here is I'm going to take this and I'm going to put the bolts here and attach it back to the machine. Now, one thing you'll want to do here, folks, is when you'll notice that the hook is in the race. Think of it as like half of a pie here, right? And you want to make sure that your shuttle is in position. In other words, if I have my shuttle, let's say between 12 and 6, and my hook is between 6 and 12, if you think of it as a clock, then I'm going to have room to line this up and get it attached. If I move the shuttle, right, like to here, you may find, hey, I can't attach this. I suspect that this change, the change that Singer would make in later years to make this much simpler is because people needed to clean back there, and I think for the owners it was kind of a pain, or they might have to have someone from Singer do it, and or maybe Singer did do it for people, and it was just easier for Singer, for the Singer techs to do it if Singer set it up this way. But anyway, if you have trouble putting this back, remember you've got to get the shuttle to basically sit where in the space that you don't have your hook. So now if I go in here and just carefully move things around, I have now gotten it flush up against this big plate, and I'll just put the first of my bolt in here. kind of go by feel to see if I've gotten it lined up yet with the threads in the hole that it's going into. Not yet. Let's try. There we go. Now let's try it. When you're doing this, if you get stuck, don't give up, because a lot of times you have to kind of, you noticed me, I had to take it back out and wiggle it a bit until I could kind of get a sense that it was flush. And I'm just going to, just with my fingers, just getting these bolts started. And you'll be able to tell when it's going in. And I really don't need my little ratchet here. I could hook this back up to my screwdriver handle, but it's not necessary, because for here, when I tighten these bolts, again, I'm just going to tighten them, and when they start to get snug, I'll just hand tighten, right? Now, very slowly, when you do this, when you think you've gotten it in, don't go gangbusters right away. Let's turn it real slow and make sure that everything's lined up. And of course, now I can go a little faster. The machine seems happy. Unlike what you might think, machines like this, machines like this that don't have computers, you might think, oh, well, how in the world am I ever going to know if I've gotten it right? There's nothing to beep at me. But that's okay, because these machines, if you listen to them very closely, you'll know when they're not happy with you. So there you go. And of course, as I mentioned before, I'll take the bobbin case and make sure it lines up again with the little finger hole there. And you'll know if your bobbin case is in properly, because it'll stay. If not, it'll roll right out. And so there you go. That's how to replace the hook, the race, and in this case, the race and the cover are one. But again, this looks different because it is different. And again, over the years, Singer would make changes and make it a little easier to access. It's not hard, it's just a little more time consuming, but that doesn't bother me. But again, if you've never done it before, you might be wondering, what in the world is going on here? It doesn't look like my other Singer. But Singer truly did maintain almost all of their designs with very few changes. When they made changes, it was very often improving, or based on feedback that they had gotten. So anyway, I thought I would share that with you. If any of you have worked on these older Singer 15s, maybe you have a treadle, maybe you have one of these and it was converted to electric later on, let me know, or put your comments down there below. I just thought I would show this to you. I've done this, it's been some years ago, and the last time I tried to do a video on a machine this old, I was doing it handheld, and it made for a rather unsteady video. So hopefully this one was a little bit better for you guys. Anyway, thanks for watching, everyone. Hang in there, and I'll bring this machine back when I've gotten it done, and I'll let you guys see when it's ready for its debut. Take care.